Hi, my name is Nelson Starr. Sorry I've been away for a little bit. I finally in. It was Easter. Um, I got a cold, so I wasn't feeling well. You may hear it in my voice. Um, so it took a little break. But I'm coming back now with some new, fresh ideas. Actually, they're completely stuff that you may have heard before. But stuff that's so important that think it's cool to emphasize and actually go over for people that may not have experienced or exposed to it. But the other thing that was holding me back from probably doing this, I'm going to stop. I'm going to start over. I didn't like that. Let's see where we are here. Okay, I'm going to hit stop because this is pissing me off. Hey, sorry I've been away. My name is Nelson Starr. I'm just getting back at it. We had an Easter break, had family in, staying over my house. So it's been a little break between the first and second videos. Another thing, though, that was kind of slowing me down is like, I was thinking to myself, I don't want anyone to think I'm coming off high and mighty or that I have all the answers for music, jazz, piano playing, whatever. Because I really don't. I consider myself a student who's like just trying to still get it all together. Everything's still in process for me. But if I can share some ideas that give you some help or ideas yourself, and maybe you can share some ideas with me in the comment section, that would be good. Because I'm definitely not an expert at anything. I didn't go to school for all this stuff. I'm really self-taught. But hopefully you can get something out of it still. So anyway, we're going to hit it up right now. What we're going to do today to look at some simple chord progressions that everyone should know. Again, it's not a comprehensive list. I may just cover like two things. I definitely want to talk about rhythm changes and blues. And I want to talk about how it's important to try to play them in different keys. And to just get comfortable. I could hang out in the key of B flat doing rhythm changes and getting real good at it. But it's also really good to try rhythm changes in other keys like C, F, G, whatever. And then, of course, we can get to the hard keys later, the keys that no one wants to play in, like B, F sharp, even like things like E and D. I'm not huge on sometimes. So anyway, probably won't be illustrating in those tougher keys, but it's just a case of like how to do it, so, and how to get comfortable and everything. So we are in F. I'm just gonna do a blues in this key, and we'll see what happens. So, jazz blues really is different than regular sort of rock blues or stuff from 50s, 60s, and 70s, and 80s. Typical blues that you hear on the blues radio station. Sometimes is a simpler type of form, but jazz type blues has a lot more like 3-6-2-5-1ing, if you know what that means. It just has more chord changes. So anyway, if I was doing a blues in F, I'd go F7, then I'd go to the 4 chord probably on the second measure. Sometimes you can do a diminished to half step up and to get back to the 1 chord. Okay, I even did a little 5 quick. Then here you are in the second line of the blues, which is measure 5. Back on the 4 chord. A lot of times we'll go to definitely do the diminished there. At least I think I like to do it. Back to the 1, maybe with the 5 in the root. Then you get to the 6 chord finally, usually altered. Then we go to the 2 chord, usually minor. Then the 5, and then you could go to the 1, or you could go 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. Okay. Now we can also get another 3 in there. After here we are starting on measure 5 again. We could go to that chord. Instead of going to the 1, we could go to the 3, which is A minor 7. Then the 6, then the 2, 5, 1. So I'll play it, and you'll hear me do different things though. try and follow some of the alternate ways that I'm picking out. Hope you can't see my plumber butt in the video at this point. Here's some other things too. I'm gonna play, and whatever happens sort of happens, and hopefully you'll pick up some different alternative ways to do it. There's the 3-6. I hit a note I didn't like. I make mistakes all the time. Sometimes they do that 2, 5 of 4. So that was the 2 to the 5 of 4 though. So C minor 7 to F7. Here's C minor 7 to F7, which takes you to the 4 chord, which in the key of F is B flat 7. And we'll keep going. There's the 2, 5, 3 again. You can alter all those chords if you want. Have fun with that. Go to the 5 chord, but the tritone sub of it, so I'm going up a half step. Here we start at the beginning again. Could do that trick. Now I'll do that 2, 5 into the 4 chord. Okay, that's another one, the flat 7 chord we can use instead of that diminished. The 3, you can do a 2, 5, a half step down, sort of a chromatic one, between the A to D7 and the G minor to C7. You can throw the A flat minor 7 to D flat 7 in between them, so you can go. So they're back on the 2. Then the final 3, 6, 2, 5. Okay, then I did some subs on the final, substitution chords on the final bit there. Instead of doing a 3, I just went to 1, and then I did a tritone substitution of the 6 chord, tritone substitution of the 2 chord, tritone substitution of the 5 chord. You can, if you can see my left hand, which I don't know if you can, but I'm doing F7 to A flat 7 to D flat 7 to G flat 7, then back to the 1 chord F. All right. The key thing with the blues is not to nail any one progression, in my opinion, but it's to innovate the ways that you might go through it, so you can. Just a little walk up on the diatonic chords even. There's the 4. I'm going to go in that flat 7. I could even do this. okay, there's just some different ideas. You can do so many different things on it. But then go into a different key and see how you're doing. Like, I'll try it in now B flat. Get my ears reoriented here. So do a little B flat like blues scale, maybe dig. Oh, you know, can I hear it? Can I feel it? And yes, I can now. So I'm gonna switch keys now and see if I can do some stuff that's similar. Sometimes different. Now that thing, it was a pedal. So I hung on the 5 of the whole key, which is F, since we're in the key of B flat now. And instead of, I played maybe a B flat 7, but I think it was more like an F minor 7. And then I finally made that like a 2 to the B flat, which is a 5 of E flat 7, which is our 4 chord. I know this sounds like a lot of theory, and if this is too hard for some of you to follow, I understand that. I'll be doing videos that are easier too. This is just to sort of share some ideas of how you should look at a blues, and try and do different things in different keys, come up with different ways of doing it. So here we are back on our 4. There's the flat 7. Back to our 1 chord, which I put the 5 in the bass there too. Once in a while you do like a major 2 chord if you like the sound of that, or if it's appropriate with the melody of the tune, whatnot. I did some different, what did I do on the, I think I did that diminished, which is a little old school, but sometimes I like that, okay? So, you know, there it is in B flat. Let's go into G and see how we are. Sometimes I hit a major 7 by accident. I forget I'm playing a blues, and I like do something like that. Okay, that's technically a mistake. I think people do that sometimes, but should try not to do that if you're gonna really do a blues. Keep that dominant 7th on the 1 chord. You know. What key are we in? Oh, G. I'm thinking I'm in B flat again. Maybe I haven't gotten myself into the key yet enough. Now, I think the one time I went minor there, minor 4 chord, which you can do. So you're on the 4 chord. I went 4 minor to the flat 7, which is often a dominant substitution. Back to the 3. I could keep doing like 2 5s almost chromatically down. Yeah, see, I'm not in the key good enough yet. So let's see if I can get this through this G one without making so many mistakes. Now notice I'm going slow and I'm not doing tons of hot licks. This is just a way of sort of browsing through these keys to see where we're at. Now I guess I'll pick a key that I know I'm lousy at, and we'll see how bad that goes. Let's try E flat. I'm not so good with E flat yet. After all these years, and I'm still not that good. So let's try that one. Alright, so probably not as good, but I wasn't as bad as I thought. Now you want to gradually try all the keys and see if you can make music. That's the thing. Can I make music in this key? Keep the blues going, do different things, keep it convincing. Sometimes we want to play the blues more with that minor blues scale, and keep it kind of, dark. Other times we don't mind if it gets a little bit majory sounding and a little bit more either bebop or happy or whatever. So like if I'm in C doing a blues, say, I can that's some more major sounds. So that's more of a happier sound. If I want to do C blues and I want to go for a darker sound. Something like that, So different things. Sometimes blues is fast and bebop. Sometimes it's slow. You want to try all different tempos, but first get it down slow. There's no sense in going fast unless you're ready for it. So those are my basic tips for blues. Obviously, there's a lot deeper we can go into it. It's sort of just almost an introduction to how I might look at it. Rhythm changes. I said I was going to get to that. It's the same sort of deal. But rhythm changes usually in B flat. And usually the one chord is sort of thought of as more like a 6/9 or something. But you can turn that into a dominant 7th sometimes too. It really depends on what sound you're going for. At least these are my opinions. Again, I'm self-taught. So if if there's a rule on something and I don't know about it, I guess I never learned it. But sometimes, you're doing the rhythm changes. It's more major. Something like that, but you could probably use the dominant 7th on the 1 too. Okay, then after the first A section, then we go to this B section, which always goes to the 3 chord. So always think of the rhythm changes as the bridge always starts on like the 3 chord. Of course, it's a dominant 7th, so it's really the 5 of 6, and the 6 chord is really the 6 of 2, or excuse me, the 5 of 2, and then the 2 chord is really the 5 of 5. Because they're all dominant chords. So you got D7 to G7. I'm going to do simple voicings now. C7 to F7 with jazz voicings. So there's some tips there. Now I find that this is a great progression to play in all different keys. A lot of times we use for the sort of second chord too, we can use a diminished, and we could keep that going. So sometimes we go sort of that kind of thing. You can do that in other keys. Here we go, back in F. We're going to try a little rhythm changes. Okay, so I'll try that in that key in F. Let's see how rhythm changes go in F. I hope I don't butcher this. I'm going to go slow, of course. For you only, of course. Not mine. Whatever. Okay. Then we go to the 3 chord on A7. Okay, I'm just kind of screwing around and not doing that great. I should probably be doing better. So I want to practice this in F. Let's try E flat. Sometimes I just go through the chords first, right? On and on. So at least I'm able to get through it. A flat, let's try that. So I'll just kind of run through the chords, see what they are. Of course, there's different voicings you can use. You know, you could stick to, where are we? A flat. We're in. Okay, so let's see what you can do. You can like harmonize the stuff a lot more. I'm trying to provide some bass so that we keep things in perspective, what chord we're actually on. And I like to play bass on this stuff, so. Oh. Screwed up there. See how bad I am? Okay, so again, I make a lot of mistakes. I'm still learning. So these are the kind of battles that you want to wage. Is like, how good can I play rhythm changes in any key? I haven't even hit the hard keys with this stuff. And you want to sort of get it automatic. You don't want to be thinking about it. I was thinking about that in A flat way too much. So it's like a key I've got to play that progression in. Now, on the other hand, like something like Donna Lee progression, that's another great progression, by the way, to do in all the different keys. So that would be like... I might get confused with all this stuff going on here with rhythm changes. Let's see. I'm Okay. Okay, not going even so good on, but that's that progression, a great progression to do in different keys too. If I try to do it in, I finally got the hang of it. By the way, I was screwing up at the beginning. If I do it in F, is that right? I may have screwed it up. And see, I'm not keeping it together right now. Sometimes I find it difficult to go back and forth between rhythm changes, blues, and Donnelly type changes. Sometimes I'll just start screwing them up and interweaving them. That can be a challenge sometimes when I'm really wandering. So I got to get my head screwed on straight because I'm really starting to screw this up. But these are some of the challenges you have to confront. Like, can I do all these basic chord progressions in every key? You want to be able to try and do that, you know. I'm going to go back in C. So if you're in C, you know, you got to always get to the 4 chord, somehow get back to 1. Okay, and you're always going to do those 3, 6, 2, 5, 1s. A lot of times when you go into 4, you're going to do a 2 to a 5 that leads you to your 4. You know, your 4 chords, 2 and 5. So if your 4 chord is F, then you're going to do G minor 7 to C7 to get into F, okay? Every chord you're trying to get to has its 2 and its 5. That can be sort of the entrance to get to that chord. So if I'm trying to get to E flat, from wherever I am, I can always do F minor 7 to B flat 7, get into my E flat major 7 there, okay? Now I want to get to A, let's say. There's into A. How do I want to get into any old key? E. Okay? I did a 2, 5, 1 into E. Okay? The 2 and the 5 part are what leads you into the next chord. So a lot of times, don't think about the past. 2 and 5 should be leading you into the next chord, so that whatever chord you're trying to get to, you're using the 2 and the 5 of it to lead to it. Forget about what was the 2 and the 5 of your key, or the 2 and the 5 of the chord that you're already on. That's not so important. All right? Oh, so you always want to be future guided. Let's go back to this blues thing. You remember when I'll keep it in C. Now right about there, now we're going to be thinking about going to the 4 chord. So I'm going to do the 2 and the 5 of the 4 chord. Again, the 4 chord, since we're still in C, is F. F7 in a blues, F7, 9, 13, whatever. So I'm going to go, what's the 2 and the 5 of F? Well, it's G minor to C7. And if you just use simple intervals, you can figure out why that's the 2 and the 5 of F. Treat F for a second as 1. If that's thought of as 1, then 2 is going to be G. And then it's a 5 away from F is C7. So that's why you're doing G minor 7 to C7 into F7, okay? So here we are in the C blues again. I'm going to use that 2-5 to set up the 4 chord. There we go, I did it. There's the 3 and the 6, and they set up the 2 chord, because the 2 chords 2 and 5 are actually what the same as the 3 and the 6. Okay, so E minor 7 to A7 to D minor 7. Okay, and then the true 5 for the key, G7. And then instead of going to the 1 again, you can go to 3 again. In fact, you could do a loop where you never go to 1. You can just do progressions like this. A lot of times at the end of a song, they'll do a loop like that. So, anyway, a lot of these concepts that you'll find in all these standard changes, whether it's in the blues or rhythm changes or Donnelly, if I could ever get it right, you'll find in so many other songs. I think working on the blues and working on rhythm changes in various keys, if you can really get good at that and feel comfortable with it, it's going to help all your jazz playing, because really a lot of it's the same stuff, especially bebop and sort of the classical era of jazz, where you have like in the 50s, all the great players in that in 50s and 60s, before it gets too weird and gets too out there. All this stuff is very applicable. Well, I know I'm rambling on, but I wanted to share some thoughts. If you have any questions about this stuff, and maybe I'm going to find a way to get a camera on the keyboard a little better, or maybe I'll just adjust it or whatnot. But oh, my son, are you peeking in here? Hey, I'm just saying goodbye. So hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you soon. Bye. Oh, you waving?